all of you forget two things. The first thing that all of you forget is that you are God. The second thing is how beautiful you are, because all of you are absolutely, positively beautiful, magnificent, and perfect.
What is the significance of this ramping up that we're going through as a human race and even our galaxy as a whole is going through?
The first from God, conversations with God. We gave him that information and it touched millions.
What designed this template of the human?
If you are sincere, and if you are a lover of light, or if you are an opportunist, if you are a gold digger, it will let you know the words that they speak in their eyes, always.
Family, I wanted to just take a moment to pause here. Many of us are feeling the sense that the way that we've been creating, building, expressing, something about it no longer seems to be working. We've been taught to create from pressure, effort, performance. But through a very powerful transmission with a previous guest, Anne Tucker, where she channels the mother of creation, it became evident that we are at a turning point. Creation is changing direction. And for the first time ever, Anne and I are coming together for a live initiation called the Freedom Project. This is a 3-week journey designed to dissolve fear-based creation and restore freedom from an internal lived state so that creation becomes natural again. This isn't about learning new techniques. It's about removing what's been quietly blocking your authentic creative channel. If you feel that pull into more truth, freedom, and coherence in the way that you live and create, you can join Anne and I now for our 3-week initiation. We'll be starting in a few weeks. The link to sign up is in the description, or you can scan the QR code on screen right now, and I will see you inside. Elliott Eli Jackson, welcome on Just Tap In, brother. What are you most excited about right now globally and in your life?
Well, it's a very exciting time for me and the planet. My wife and I have been at this for over 20 some odd years, and the beginning was quite rocky. That's a good word to use. When we started this journey, we traveled the United States. We used to do 50 cities a month. I mean, not a month, a year. But there a lot of times we drove cross country from Illinois to California to the East Coast, and there would be no one at the workshops. But Source kept saying, just keep going, and when the time is right, the explosion of truth will come. And that began to happen in about 2005, and things just opened up. I always preface that when all of this began, I thought I was going insane, and I did not believe it. That's very important for people to understand, because my whole life has transformed. I was not a very nice human being earlier on, through misinformation and just how I grew up and where I grew up and the people that were surrounded around me. So I'm just so grateful that the universe has allowed me to be a vessel. That's what I would like everyone to know.
And if you were to take us back to that time in 2005 where you were really going through this process and really opening, I know it was very unexpected what happened to you. If you want to walk us a little bit briefly through that journey that you went through back in those years.
Well, when I met my wife, I was at a crossroads. I was running a mental health facility. I was director of it, and I stopped working. I really didn't have a lot of drive. So anyway, when I met her, I was trying to find a different type of employment because my background is in psychology and philosophy. And I was in the military for like 17 years, and I was undercover narcotics all over the world. So my whole view of the world was jaded, and everybody's just screwed up. And that was my mindset, and that's how I lived my life basically up until then, although I knew that the human mind was capable of more than most of us presented. And so when one of us falls into addiction and obsession and all those things, that's a part of being a manifestation on earth. I was quite just jaded. Anyway, so I met my wife, and she asked me to go to a channeling class in Chicago.
Did you know what that was when she offered it?
Not really. Now, she had introduced me to Ricky, and I was attuned in it. And the only reason that I did it because the master that attuned us was also in psychology. He was a psychiatrist. So I said, well, maybe there's something to it. Because when you go into psychology and philosophy, you do understand that there are things that we really don't understand. Although a lot of times we don't like to admit it when we think we're educated and know everything. Anyway, so I thought that was pretty cool. But when she said go to the channeling class, I said, well, I don't think so. I think that's pure nonsense. So we went, and the young lady, wonderful woman, Cheryl Norday, wonderful. She was channeling the Cirrus star family, she said. And I told Diane, I'm like, okay, if she said so. And so she went into toning that I found kind of disturbing. And I was really just sitting there tripping out, and I said, well, and then she started channeling, and she spoke in an old English Cockney accent. So I found it quite entertaining, but I did not believe it by any stretch of the imagination. So anyway, we kept going because I had just met my wife, and a lot of times when we meet our soulmate, we are eager to please them because we know this person is
happy wife, happy life.
This person is different from a lot of other people. So anyway, so we had an assignment to try to do thought transference to one another. And we were sitting in our living room. And I had tried those things before in my life, but there were some hallucinatory chemicals involved, and it didn't turn out too well.
That helps. That helps.
Well, not the kind that I was doing. I think it might have been some window pane and stuff like acid. So anyway, so I did not enjoy the longevity of the high, because basically your spirit, when you do that, your spirit is free and it's out because you're in another state of mind. Anyway, so we were sitting in the living room, and we were meditating, and I blacked out or something. That's the term I use. I went out, and when I came to, my wife was sitting across from me just weeping, crying. And I was like, what's wrong with you? She says, well, you've been talking for about 45 minutes. I said, talking about what? And she told me what I said. And she said that they started out, I am, you are, we are one. We are all there is, was, and ever shall be. And she went on talking about some things and about the human body, space, time. I didn't know any of that stuff. So I said, if you say so, because my wife was not prone to jokes or, messing around a whole lot. Pretty, straight-laced. because she was a pharmacist. She doesn't do that anymore because of what we do, but she was just straight laced. So I said, okay. I knew something had happened, but I didn't know what. I said, okay. So she told me all that. I said, yeah, if you say so. So it started happening more, and she started to record it. And at first I refused to listen to any of the recordings. I'm like, so anyway, I started listening, and the information was about the galaxies, the universe, the stars, the human body, the soul's purpose. And I was like, wow. So it kept going, but after Source would leave, I would be quite disoriented, find myself just standing in the middle of a hallway in our house, or I'd be at the refrigerator with food all over my mouth, and my wife be like, or I'd go outside. We had a lot of property. We had a lot of acreage. So I would go outside in my underwear, just be standing out there. And she's like, come in the house, honey. And I'm like, what's going on? So I thought I was going crazy. And I thought she was crazy. But we didn't tell anybody. But then Source told Diane that they were going to start writing books. And then they started writing the books, automatic typing. And I'd be asleep. And the next thing I know, I'm at the computer. Diane is behind me. And we're looking at these pages and pages and pages of information. And so Source says, well, we're going to publish these books through you. And we didn't know anything about publishing. And if you know anything about the publishing world, you send a manuscript in and you may get a letter in a year and a half. Thank you for your submission, but we're not going to use that. But Source gave us the phone numbers and addresses of the publishers of publishing house. They're private numbers, and we had no knowledge of any of this. So it said send the manuscript. So we sent them to all Simon and Schuster, all of them. And like I said, normally they'll send you back thank you, but all of them responded. But their response was, we've never seen anything like this. The writing, the cadence of the words, the tempo. We want to publish it. However, you're trying to say that it's the source of everything, God or whatever word you want to use, and we're not going to touch that. Now, if you say it's Archangel Michael or Elvis, we'll publish it today.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
But we said, well, no, it's Source. So anyway,
it's not Elvis.
A long story short, finally, a publishing house in Pennsylvania. Schiffer Publishing, that had been doing some publishing of some esoteric work and stuff a little bit, but a lot of it was history that they published about war and all that type of stuff. Anyway, so they said, come on out. So we went out, we drove to Pennsylvania. We got to the publishing house, beautiful Pennsylvania countryside, and the owner was not there. And they said, well, he's never late. We don't know what's going on. So they took us in a room and said, well, hopefully he'll be here soon. So he came in, and we were in a room. There were some editors in there, my wife and I. And he sits down and he says, why should I publish this book? And I went out. And when I came to, we were signing the contracts.
Whoa.
So on the way back, I asked my wife on the way back to Philadelphia. I asked my wife, I said, so, what happened? Because I don't
Source
remember.
negotiated. Source
anything.
negotiated hard.
Source told him that no one knew. The people that worked for him didn't know that he had just come back from the doctor. His wife was pregnant, and he was going to have a son in the fall. And when he heard that, because it was true, he said, I better publish this book. And so they started putting the book together. So Source told us also, said, well, we want images behind the words. And so we told the editing department, and they went through all their spiritual art, and the editor called, and the deadline was coming up because we did like a countdown on Facebook. This was long ago when Facebook was first getting started. Anyway, So she calls, she says, I can't find anything, the deadline, we don't know what to do. Can we just throw some art in there? And Source says, no, we need images behind the words of the book. And this was the first book, From God to You, Absolute Truth. And they say they use the word God because that's the word that most people thought of, but that's not really their name. Anyway, so she said, I don't know what to do. And so Diane and I said, well, just something might happen, because we started to believe more. Because all this stuff was happening. So about later that day, she calls and she says, I was sitting in my office and I looked out the window and I said out loud, if this is really Source's book, we need the images. And she said at that exact moment, a young woman who had just started working in their graphics department, had been there for 2 days, knocked on her door. And she says, kind of tart, what do you want? She says, well, the strangest thing just came to me. I don't know where it came from, but we should call NASA and ask if they will allow us to put direct images from the Hubble telescope behind the words. And NASA had never done it before. We made the request and they said yes. Now they have done it since, but before that, no. And so that was another indication that this was, really divinely inspired and all that. So fast forward, after that, the books just started rolling. 2-3 a year. So it would write a book, 200-300 pages in like a week, stuff like that. Oh my
gosh.
So
yeah.
Anyway, and then we started traveling, blah, 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 blah. And we've been on the journey ever since. And now is the time in Earth's history where things are being ramped up by the rest of the universe. That's a long story short.
Wow. I'm sure we're going to talk about that ramping up with Source a little bit later in the conversation. Before that, you're using this term, right? Source, they, and I'd love to understand how you've now integrated what that energy is that comes through when you black out, when you go into trance. How have you felt into this essence of where it comes from, maybe who or what it is, and who is they?
Well, they say that they're going to come and tell you themselves. So
yeah, they'll introduce themselves then.
So Source is about to come.
Beautiful.
Hello to everyone.
Hello.
You should all be grateful for that which you have, for when you are, you're able actually to obtain more. That's a secret that should not be a secret. However, we have explained many times, we would be that word or energy that you have been told is the word God. However, if there was a word we could not like, but we really like everything, regardless of what much of your species believes, it would be that word, because we're nothing like you have been told. We are motion, velocity, all atomic matter and mass. We are everything and everyone. All planets, all stars, all species, the chair that you sit in, the clothes that you wear. The best way for your human mind to understand it is that we are the air. And air is everywhere. Regardless what some of your scientific community believes, that on some planets there's not air, but they would be quite mistaken. At any rate, you breathe in, you breathe out. Air, spirit, God, us, all the people on your planet, all the plants through the process of photosynthesis, all the animals. When you breathe no more, your manifestation is no more. When the plants breathe no more, they wither and die. When the rocks breathe no more, they crumble into smaller pieces. So, if we're the air, that means we're in you, through you, around you, over you, always with you. And when we leave, you are no more. But it also means that you are us. So you're actually talking to yourself, your highest self. We do not lie. It serves no purpose. We only speak the truth. Sometimes the things that we say, people don't like. But we don't care because we love all of you. And the truth must be told because it is the truth that can only elevate your species and the individual. Most of you believe that you are kind of, sort of worthy, maybe. But all of you are creators, and everything in your life you have created. The clothes that you wear, if you get married, you ask or say yes. If you get a divorce, which your species has created, you said, I want out. If you take a job, you go to an interview, you're hired. If you are fired, probably because you were not doing something that you were supposed to do. So everything in all of your lives is up to you. And you have absolute freedom of choice on your planet, every last one of you. And we have never interfered with freedom of choice. It is the greatest thing that your species has. So that also means, unfortunately for some of you, since we are the air and non-physical, that we do not need anything from you. We do not need any sacrifices. We don't eat. We don't have sexual intercourse. So the only thing we ever ask all of you to do is just speak to us and take care of yourself. Because you are sacred. You are eternal. You are far more than you think you are. That's whom and what we are. But because we are everything, we are high at the apex, which you are listening to, but there are lower portions of us, make no mistake about it, on your planet. That would be the lower angelic, but we'll talk about that later. So that's it in a nutshell. You're all listening to yourself, your highest self. Now, the mental sometimes cannot understand that because the mental is actually the lowest portion of your species being. It is the mental that affects the emotional, which affects the physical, which have all of you or many of you not taking care of yourself and knowing how wonderful and beautiful you are. Do you have any other questions?
Yes, thank you so much, Source, for coming through.
Thank yourself.
Thank you. I would love to go a little bit deeper into this great ramping up that Elliott was talking a little bit about beforehand. What is the significance of this ramping up that we're going through as a human race and even our galaxy as a whole is going through?
Well, it's to remember who you are, all of you. Because when a spirit, we'll use that term, the air in us, decides to take a human manifestation and the embryo occurs, when one of you are born on the planet that you live on, all of you forget two things. The first thing that all of you forget is that you are God. The second thing is how beautiful you are, because all of you are absolutely, positively beautiful, magnificent, and perfect. None of you are lazy or too heavy or too thin. That's all in the mind. Once you understand that you are 7 perfect systems in synchronization with everything everywhere, then you can change the things about you that you don't like, but never for anyone else, because your physical body is a magnificent machine, and your mind is, of course, sharper than any computer, because computers come from the mind of man and woman. All of you should take that into account as your AI expands. AI and computers can never, ever be greater than you. Keep that in mind, please, because you will be tasked with understanding that in the future, all of you. Because some of you have placed the computer and AI over your mind, and the computer is only a mere representation of the magnificent brain. Just like your cameras are mere, we will use kind of, sort of okay replicas of your eyes, because the human eyes are far more intricate than any camera that you think you can use.
I've heard you say before that you can tell someone is in a high vibration by the eyes and the sound of their voice. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
The eyes are the windows to the soul of your species. When you meet someone, you should always look into their eyes. Now, that's one of the reasons throughout your planet, when there is war and conquering, the conquerors or whatever always tell the people that they have captured or trying to assimilate, do not look at us, look down. They did that with the African American in Americas. The African Americans for many years would not even look at the Western European individuals. The man that we speak through now, his mother was raised in a place called Alabama in the United States. And when he was a little boy, his mother would tell him and his sister, do not look at their eyes. Do not look at them. Look down. So, this is also a hint, because we are everything and we channel through all of you. Believe this. However, if someone is channeling at a high vibration, their eyes are always open. Keep that in mind. That's going to upset some people, but of course, we stated early on, we don't care. The eyes are the windows to the soul. That's how you connect with your species on a deep level other than conversation. Please remember this.
What about the sound of the voice?
The sound of the voice, each of you has an accent, cadence, and certain wave. It's like your fingerprint. The sound and vibration of your particular voice. For instance, the sound and cadence of the way that you speak is the sound and vibration that all of the individuals that view your show or subscribe to your channels come to hear. The sound and vibration of truth that comes from your being. That's why you are so popular, because you have opened up to your natural self, your highest self, to speak the truth from your being, which flows from everywhere from us through you, because all of you are us. Now, some don't know that. That's why their voice is stifled. That's why people with low self-worth and self-esteem, number one, they don't look you in the eye, and number two, they very rarely say anything. But it is the sound and vibration uniquely. There are certain people that can only receive what they need from one of you on a spiritual note to uplift and inspire them. And so if you're not available, if you're not at your highest vibration, please excuse this also. They are shit out of luck. Now, many individuals ask us, why do you sometimes use profanity? Well, we tell you that if your species, in whatever language, doesn't understand anything else, they understand the vulgarity words. So sometimes we use that to get you to understand the gravity of a situation or something that you must do for yourself. Because anything that you do is really for you, but it helps others if you are at the appropriate vibration. Now, it was believed before that it was body, mind, and spirit. That's why you have your body, mind, spirit expos and all that stuff. But your being is fourfold, not three. And so we have expanded it with the truthful information about the fourfold being, which helps your species to understand yourself on a deeper level and be able to overcome the things that you have to on the planet that you live on so that you can be happy and whole.
I've also heard you talk about a new version of Earth is coming. Yet in order for it to come, some things have to change. Many ideas and concepts must be smashed and removed, and mass consciousness has to raise up. When you talk about a new version of Earth, can you go a little bit deeper into what that actually implies, and our role in that as well, humanity's role?
Of course. But before we do that, we're going to leave briefly and we're going to ask the man that we speak to read 2 short poems. And you should know that it was your being that manifested this, Emilio. Make no mistake about it. Along with others. The first one he's going to read is entitled, Come Back Gently Unto Self. And we'll be back in a moment.
Thank you.
Now, Source does give me messages sometimes so I can hear them, so they want me to read some poems. And they already had marked them in one of the books. This is from the Sapiential Discourses Universal Wisdom, Book 2, I think. There's 5 volumes to the Sapiential Discourse series. Anyway, this one is called Come Back Gently Unto Yourself. It says, come back gently unto yourself, to the way you used to be, back to the way you were before the jealousy and envy, before the mistrust of each other. Come back to the way you used to be, strong, confident, self-assured, powerful, majestic, fearless, regal. Come back gently unto your equal self. And the next one is called Dig Deep. And they say the word deep is a word that you really like, Emilio.
Yeah, it is.
Dig deep. Dig deep into your subconscious mind. If you do this, you will find other planes of existence. Some are extravagant, others are time-lapsed regulated. You will find connections to your others, your outer space sisters and brothers, a link that is like no other, to worlds of light and sound that your soul can at any given time go to and swirl around. Through meditation and contemplation, you will find personal revelation and personal motivation. There are connections to your inner selves to find your inner help to heal and to reveal what is false from what is real. You will be able to break the seals set upon you by countless years of lies that we have no other universal ties. Universal secrets will come forth about portals and unseen vortexes of all sorts that take you to the outer regions of different ports with different seasons. Seasons other than you know, there you will find you have no foes. And the universal secrets that will make your spirit glow, and the ones that everyone needs to know. And sources coming back. Isn't that magnificent?
It is.
For one of you to dig deep and find out how magnificent you really are. So that's what the surge is about. It was really activated on a higher level December the 21st, 2012. Of course, many of you thought that that was the end of your planet and all that nonsense. But we tell you, your planet is not going anywhere. Your species is not going anywhere. However, things will change because all things change. So, with that being stated, December the 21st, 2012, the axis of your planet and all the galaxies shifted what is known as a molecular movement. To your human mind ever so slightly, however, it affected the human brain, particularly the female. Now, some are not going to like what we say about this, but of course, once again, we don't care. The leader of planet Earth are the female. They always have been, and they always will be. Some people don't like that. But just think about the way your world is structured now, the stores, the malls, whatever you have. All those things, commercials are geared towards women. Now, men have some sports and some little sections in stores and stuff like that. Everything else is for the female. Now, why is that? Well, because she is the source of life on your planet. Without her and the womb, none of you would even be alive. That's the first thing. So when the original lies were told to break down your species and bring about fear and doubt and hate and prejudice, the first thing that they stated in the religions that we would say at their base, all religions are wonderful because all of them say that there is a supreme higher portion of everything. But after that, it's a bit suspect. Anyway, so they said it was the female that gave the forbidden fruit to the male and damned every last one of you. Now, of course, that's quite ridiculous because we have explained we're energy, motion, velocity, all atomic matter, and mass. So that means there is no hell, there is no sin, and there's no heaven like you've been told. Streets of gold with little baby angels flying around? You know how many billions of you have fallen into that? It's quite ridiculous, actually. We love all of you. We don't care what you do. We will love you even if you murder someone. But that's us at the highest. Now, of course, for your species, there are consequences for all decisions because all of you have freedom of choice. If your vibration is high and you're seeking truth and you're taking care of your full form being, your physical, your mental and emotional, you will be able to understand the truth of the matter and that you are eternal and that all of you have purpose, plain and simple. That's why we say none of you are fat, lazy, tired. All that's just made up. So back to the female. So throughout the history, they said, well, how can we stop the progression of love on the planet? Because we want to conquer, assimilate, eradicate, which they have done. Every species on your planet has been slaves. A lot of you don't know that.
Is this the lower angelic that you were referring to?
That's connected to that. And to, yes, the mind of men that were affected by the lower angelic, and many females also. So that ran the course of history. They stifled the female, but on December 2012, the female began to voice herself more. Now, if you think about it, you look back in history, you'll understand that's when the Me Too movement and all that started going. So the female didn't quite understand that you don't destroy people's lives for things that they said and did when they were 16, 17 years old. Those are just the follies of youth and misinformation, because most men were taught that women were objects. That's all over your planet. Now, we're not even going to get into but we will anyway, because once again, we don't care. Some of your religions that believe that the female should not get an education, and she should cover her body and her face and be quiet and walk paces behind the man. There are some religions on your planet that practice that. Many of you should know that. At any rate, all of that was designed to stop love and peace. So the female has evolved away from the Me Too, we're going to destroy you, for the most part, because they finally figured out that's not of a high vibration. Someone could have said back in 1985, ooh, I like your booty. And then 40 years later, someone writes about it and you get fired and you lose your job and your family doesn't. That's all over Angelic. But we'll explain all that probably at another time, because it would take volumes of conversations. Now, we will use this term and then we'll acquiesce back to you. You must understand that the female is the leader, but the male is the head. Now, why is that? Because of the physical difference of the bodies. The male is bigger and stronger. So the female and the male in an ideal relationship are supposed to talk to one another about anything. Now, this is even in a homosexual or lesbian relationship, because once again, we don't care about any of that. All we ask you to do is, if you say you're in love with someone, treat them with love and respect and act like you do. At any rate, so you must respect yourself and others. It is really that simple. And when you know who you are and who they are, us, eternal, you will respect them. And then the hate and the prejudice and stuff that's going on will dissipate. So back to the body of the human relationship. So the male is the head, supposed to discuss everything with the one that has more estrogen than them. They come to joint decision. And then the male, because he is designed to be the protector and the provider of the female in the family, takes responsibility. Let's say you and your lover said, let's go to a movie. You talked about it, you picked a movie, you went to the movie and the movie sucked. The male should say, my bad, baby, we probably shouldn't have went to that one. That wasn't really a good movie. The female is the heart to motivate and inspire the body of the relationship. The female is supposed to always let the male know, or the one with the most testosterone, I believe in you. There's nothing you can't do, and nothing we can't do together. Then the male will do what he was designed to do, protect and defend. Now, of course, your societies have changed it where a lot of women today make more money than their males. And that was all by design, too, to keep some males stuck on stupid and in resentment with the females. But we're working on that also. Anyway, so she's the heart. The male is the hands because of the physiological difference to do the hard work and labor, because bodies are different. They are. And the female is the feet to lead the relationship. If the relationship is built on that, it is magnificent. You have intimacy, into me you see. And you don't have resentments. A lot of the words your species use, you use them loosely. You really don't even understand them. resentments. Rescind me. The other two letters were just added. So you rescind yourself over many to something that is gone from the timeline and doesn't even matter. My father, he spanked me when I was 12 and I don't speak to him anymore. And we say, well, do you have a mirror? And then they say, yes, we have a mirror. We say, well, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? And they look, and we say, you see your father and your mother, and there's nothing none of you can do about it. So, it doesn't really matter what your parents do. Some of them are very nice. They spend time with you. They walk with you. Some parents abuse their children sexually, mentally, emotionally. Some neglect their children. And we always say some do perceived abandonment, because even if you never meet your parents, they cannot abandon you because you're them. What would be next?
Going back to the poem that Elliott read, it talked a lot about the subconscious mind and how that is an access point into our inner selves and all of this other multidimensionality that we are. I wanted to ask you right now, do you see that humanity is being able to access the subconscious
much more
easily? Yeah.
Yes, but all that also has to do with taking care of the physical. Because when your physical is taken care of, you take the appropriate supplements, vitamins, you get the appropriate cardio that you need, you have the appropriate body weight for your skeletal frame, your immune system is clear, the chemicals in your brain are balanced, and you're able to access higher levels of information that are not necessarily written on paper or even spoken of. It's because your physical is at a high vibration, which affects the mental, which affects the emotional. Then you're able to obtain information that some have not been able to obtain. But the trick is, if you obtain this information, and you know it, but you still are not taking care of your fourfold being, the information that you share will touch some, but it will not touch all that it needs to touch because of the sound and vibration and the voice and signature that's coming from the person. That's why we say it is the sound of your voice, the octave divides the waves, in the eyes that will let someone know who you really are. If you are sincere, and if you are a lover of light, or if you are an opportunist, if you are a gold digger, it will let you know the words that they speak in their eyes, always. And some of you don't know, from lifetime to lifetime, if your spirit has not finished its journey, the structure of the eyes of the next manifestation are always similar to the previous manifestations in all lifetime on the planet that you live on.
Does the color of the eyes influence in any way our soul's signature?
Not really. That all has to do with the evolution of your species, and when you went to higher elevations, different light, further you moved away from the equator, the higher the nostrils shrank, the eyes begin not to get all that they need. But basically, your species all started with like brown eyes and dark skin. But we're not going to really talk about that right now.
Okay. What designed this template of the human?
Well, your species comes from the Andromedan plane, the same plane that the Anunnaki hail from and other species. So your spirit was actually dropped off on the planet for expansion of the Andromedan plane. And then all the other stuff came. Now, we could get into the high and low angelic, but that would be up to you.
Let's do it. We like to go deep.
Well, as they say on your planet, let's do it to it.
Let's do it.
We are energy, as we have stated, the air. So that means there's no devil. That's made up. And it's made up particularly from the angelic being that saw the female and said, I want some of that. Let us explain. There is an angelic, and it is specifically designed to protect, defend, and be the watchers of men and women. It's another realm. They are non-physical. However, early on, they could manifest into human form whenever they wish to help your species. We cough because there's some that don't want to hear this, so we're clearing them out. So, there were a number that ended up to be 666. That's kind of sort of true. But the original angelic being, when he saw the female, we say he because he morphed into a male manifestation and had intercourse with her. Now, because not really physical and a light being or of another makeup of the universes, when the climax came for the angelic being in the human manifestation, shards of light or the light body was seen by the female. And she said, like the morning sun. And that's where if you look and you check in history, where the devil comes from, the morning sun. And so that angelic being went back to the angelic and do what all portions of us do when they are excited, no matter what planet or plane they're on, told others of their kind, you have to experience this. But they were not supposed to experience it. So there's a vast number that you cannot even count of angelic beings. However, 666 said, look, we're in. And they went and they morphed into humanoid manifestation and had intercourse with whomever they pleased. That would be males, females, and animals, which would be bestiality. And there were children born. The children, because they were hybrids, were bigger. All of the females that birthed these died in birth. Then, of course, a lot of you are going to like this, because they did stuff with animals, there were indeed unicorns and things of that nature, and some other things. Kind of like a hybrid dog. You know, your species is really playing around with that right now and trying to grow children outside of the womb. We tell you right now, it's not going to turn out too good, and you probably should stop. But that's another story. We're working on that.
But we don't care.
You must tell the truth. The truth will set all of you free. Nothing else can set any of you free. Lies just keep you stymied and stuck on stupid and thinking that you are not worthy and that you do not have a purpose, which is ridiculous. Anyway, there was also a number, 333 angelic beings that were supposed to stop it. And they could have, but they didn't. So, the world had these giant babies, and they did whatever they wanted to do, and your species was no match. Some of them were very nice and helped your species, but the majority of them rape, pillage. That's where Attila the Hun and all those things come from. Those things are real. Goliath, that was real. So the only time that we have ever interfered with anything on your planet to a large degree, because sometimes we make sure that things go better for one of you than you are making it to might turn out, if that makes sense to you. At any rate, they were supposed to stop it. They weren't able to stop it. They kind of balked. Later on, the man Yeshua, Jesus, he was real, but of course he didn't come to save any of you because there's no sin and there's no hell. Why would we burn portions of ourselves in a lake of fire and sulfur? Many of you don't even think about the things that you believe. Anyway, so sometimes we laugh at that when we are in the manifestation of the man that we speak to, because it's quite ridiculous. And many of you are waking up to that. That also has to do with 2012. Many of you are waking up. Your generation is waking up and saying, wait a minute, I'm a spirit. There's more than a 9-to-5 enslaving and allowing a few to have much and many to have little or nothing. That's the shift. But it must be done with love, because the lower angelic would still wish for you to kill, maim each other, protest. You see the things that are going on in the Americas and Iran and those places all over your world, in South America. People are just fed up, and they well should be, with them having nothing and a few having everything. That is not the way it was supposed to be. Anyway, so the man Yeshua comes, and the other 332 spirits came back that time to fix it. Now, of course, because the man Yeshua could not shut his mouth, because his mother and his wife, he was married to Mary Magdalene, told him, look, leave the Sanhedrin alone and them people. Just let them do what they do. That's what they do. And that's what we tell all of you. Let your politicians do what they do. You don't understand. That's what they do. They all start out lofty with, I want to help the species. Some hold to it for as long as they can. But when the special interest groups and the drug people, legal drug people in their minds get, and they start paying people and, all that, most of them flip. So we say both of your political parties in America and most of your politicians all over the world, they really don't care about you guys. They really don't. They care about themselves, power, and all that. Anyway, so they came, he was killed, it didn't finish. However, the 333 has come back again to fix it. What they didn't stop. Your spirit, Emilio, some of you listening, are amongst those. You should feel who you are. That's why there's an urgency for some of you to obtain all the spiritual information that you can suck in like a sponge. Unfortunately, a lot of it is still misinformation. So the surge is about giving the truthful information so that all of you can fix what is, well, not broken, but has been led astray. Because your planet was not meant to hate one another, not talk to your siblings or your parents, or to take and rob and steal. Your planet was not designed for any famine or overpopulation. That's ridiculous. Do you know how big your planet is in the spaces and places that you haven't even touched? And we're not even going to talk about what's under your water to a great disease. But we told you in a book 9 years ago, every day something new is found in your deep waters. And we just put in the last previous book, there are civilizations down there. But all of you will find that out pretty soon. Don't
Pretty
be
soon.
afraid. What else would you like to know?
You mentioned this book that was 9 years ago. Before we were recording, you came through for me with a specific message around how you started being more aware or watching more closely about 9 years ago, and that coincides with the moment I went to college and started having this spiritual awakening.
Well, we know all of that. But it's not just you, it's many others.
Exactly.
Your planet is going through a metamorphosis. And once again, we said there are certain ones of you that only the sound of your voice, well, actually all of you, but the sound of your voice can uplift, inspire, and motivate other people. But if your vibration is not as it should be, and you're spitting out misinformation or information that you really don't understand, it's really not helping as much as it could, if that makes sense to you. Because when you come to higher levels of consciousness and understanding, you are supposed to, through prayer and meditation and taking care of yourself, lose all judgments, jealousies, release all resentment, because really you don't have anything to be resentful for, because now, all of you hear this. You, each one of you, is everything and nothing all at the same time. Because if you were not here, your physical manifestation, there would be nothing. You should begin to understand this. So that means that you are everything. Did you catch that? Each one of you is everything. Without you, there is nothing. No parents, no school, no money, no podcast, no car, no wife, nothing. No friends. That is for the deeper levels of conscious understanding, that you are everything. And when you understand that, then you don't abuse it.
Source, are you able to detect when a person will have these awakenings in their life?
Of course,
are there certain
everything
mile
is,
markers?
Yes, well, everything has already happened. Everything is now. That's all any of you have right now. So when we talk to courses of ourselves, we tell you, you need to do what you need to do right now, because it's all that you have. Also, that's a part of knowing who you are. When you understand that, then you will do what you need to do right now, so that the next moment will be better than the previous, because your species, your personal being, was designed to expand and excel. Each one of you, to your higher self, to know who you are and who your others are. That's what all this is about. You, each one of you, we keep telling you, is a magnificent portion of everything. Your human bodies, all of you are little mini nuclear balls. Many of you don't understand that. Many of you are beginning to understand that, because all of you come from the split. We call it the split because we were nothing. Now, many that have talked to us in this manner through this man, we always say we're having a conversation with self. Now, we gave that information to Neil Donald Walsh in one of the books that we channeled through him, the first from God, conversations with God. We gave him that information, and it touched millions. And then the subsequent books touched many too. But we will tell you, and of course we don't care. We're actually waiting for the day that someone tries to drag the man that we speak to into court for libel or something. We can't wait for something like that. Anyway, it's not going to happen because, well, it's not going to happen. But if it did, we would really relish that. We tell the judges or whomever, So, you have to understand what's going on. Sometimes this is quite humorous to us. We get on a rant and we're popping all over the place because that's how we are. That's how one of you are when the truth is in you. You're like little kids. Your eyes get big like his eyes are right now. And you're, oh, that's the truth. And you have to have it. But you have to have the real truth. We'll tell you a story about the man that we speak to's wife. In the beginning, she was reading a lot of material, and she was obsessed with Saint Germain. We told her Saint Germain was necessary for the 1920s and 30s because of the way your species was going. They needed that. However, many abuse the energy of Saint Germain. And many don't know, who follow that today or think they do, that the individuals were affected by the lower angelic, and they actually created the Great White Way, and it wasn't supposed to be for anybody but the Caucasians. A lot of you don't know that. So there's a lot of people running around Saint Germain. So anyway, she was obsessed with it. And so we asked the man that we speak to and his wife to make a pilgrimage to Mount Shasta, California. And we told them that when they went there, there'll be something for them. So they went, and we asked them to go to a place called Panther Meadow, beautiful place on that part of your planet. And they went on a little trek down there. And when they got there, we told him, tell your wife, both of you, look in that tree up there. And we burned in the image of Saint Germain. And just for, we like to do that sometime. We burned it into the tree. And we told her, that's the last time you'll see Saint Germain. We think that's humorous. So she began to understand that that information connected to Saint Germain was for the 20s and the 30s on your planet and not for the 2000s. Or you understand what we're saying?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Some of the information was for certain times on your planet. You needed that. But once it's passé and gone, you don't need those things anymore. So what was true for each of you, maybe the next day it's not true anymore. Some of you needed to use drugs and alcohol to the excess. But when it no longer served you, you were supposed to move away from it. Do you understand that? It's like one of your earthly relationships. Everyone has gifts for you, everyone that you meet, and you have gifts for them. But when the gifts are given and received, it's time to move on. But many of you refuse to let go of something that has served its purpose. And that's where issues come. Stalking, depression, I'll never find love again, because you are stuck on something that you have received the gift already. And let it go.
How do we know when those gifts are fully transferred between groups of people or certain relationships?
All of you know, because all of you are intuitive. Let's say you meet someone, you have a couple of dates, the sex that you do is good. You're all frantic and crazy, and you have initial conversations, you'd be like, this might be the person. But then you begin to see little subtle signs. Oh, no. When you see those signs, you should pay attention to them. It's like a woman in a unhealthy relationship or a male. We tell them, many women that we speak to in this way, the first time that your husband or your wife grabs you in an aggressive way, you need to tell them that better not ever happen again. If it does, you will never see me again. Other people with low self-esteem, not taking care of themselves, you don't know who they are. They, well, maybe I won't find somebody else. And then they stay in those abusive relationships and all that. But people give you the signs. You know when you have received the gifts. You know it. You might not want to accept it and surrender to it, but all of you know. All of you know. That's like Neil Donald Walsh. The first 3 books that we sent through him was absolutely magnificent for your species. The rest of them, and we'll tell him, we don't care. It was commercialization. That's why they lost their power. Do you understand that?
I do.
The subsequent books, the first ones were straight from the highest apex of us. That's like if the man that we speak through, if he does not do the things that he's supposed to do, then the level or the vibration that we come through in him is not as high as it should be. It goes for you also when one of you makes a decision that is not in your highest good or the highest good of someone else. And the funny part is, it's not really funny. All of you know exactly what you're doing all the time because you're us. Every last one of you, you know exactly what you're doing. If you don't want to do something, you will not do it. That's all of you. And if you want to do something, you'll do it no matter what. No matter the cost, because you have freedom of choice. And that's the beauty of it all. It's an epiphany and it's a paradox at the same time. But when you seek the truthful information and it comes, then you're able to figure those things out. That's why you have meditation to calm and rest and be connected outside of yourself. When you sleep, your spirit leaves. When all of you are asleep, your spirit, us, the essence, is not in your manifestation. It's off everywhere, dancing and twirling and intertwining with all the species everywhere.
What are dreams?
Dreams have many meanings. Sometimes it's just a dream. We'll give you an example. Baseball players dream about hitting home run. Soccer players dream about kicking a goal. Drug addicts and alcoholics dream about drugs and alcohol. People at a low vibration may dream about things that are not in their highest good. But some dreams are to warn you and give you insight. Because once again, all of you are intuitive. But if you do not understand what the dream is for, then it's just a dream. Because when a message comes from us in a dream that is clear, all of you understand it. People have dreams and say, I'm going to go to the doctor. Because in the dream, they were having heart attack or something wasn't right. So all dreams have reason and purpose, but all dreams are not of a deep level. And some don't remember their dreams. Why would that be? We'll tell you why. Because their conscious level is not at the point where their spirit wishes to pass that information on in the awake state. But if it is something that needs to be pushed, you will remember the dream and you will try to figure it out. So, we want to talk about the Akashic records, the libraries of soul. And we wrote about it in one of the books. Of course, it's not a library, but that sounds really nice with a bunch of books, but because we are energy, it is data. The data of the makeup of everything everywhere. There is the gaseous, atomic, and subatomic plan for everything everywhere. But in the Akashic records, as you understand it, is the calibrations, the sounds, the vibrations of each particular being or thing in the universes. Now, once and whence a portion of us decides to become physical, after the lifetime that it lives, as you understand the term, it goes through, well, on the planet that you live on, when we, the air, leaves, the spirit goes through the tunnel of lives or lights. That's why those that come back, they all say, every last one of them, saw a bunch of lights and there was a bunch of, yes, it is. That's what it is. The tunnel of lives or lights. So it zooms
is it fun?
Yes, of course, because you're outside of the trapped physical manifestation that all of you have trapped yourself in for a certain number of years, months, or whatever. So it goes to the arc of the tabulus. If it breaches the arc of the tabulus, the person is dead and not coming back. The air, we're gone into everything else mixing around. But many don't breach and they come back. That are those that say the lights, and they may come back different. They may be maimed or they may be in a coma, but they come back because it wasn't their time and they had not completed that which they needed to complete. But if it breaches, it goes on through some other spaces and places in the galaxy, and it reaches what you think is the Akashic records. There it views the life that it just lived. Now, on the planet that you live on and the species that you have chosen this time, because one time you were a wolf in the Bavarian mountains, the spirit that's in you. Yes. That was one of the lifetimes that you had. So you might want to look up that area of the world. It may have something for you. Anyway, so it goes, it views its life. If at the time that we leave a human manifestation, the being has not evolved to the point to understand that everything and everyone is equal and should be treated as such, it will return to your planet. Now, so let's say your spirit goes, you're dead. You go, you view the calibrations of your being, and you see, I didn't like rose bushes. You know, I told everybody how roses were the worst plants. They're thorny and they don't smell really good, and I hate roses. Don't ever give anybody roses. One of the choices for them will be to return as a rose bush. Or you didn't like women and you were a man. You hated them. You thought they were the enemy, that they brought down the mankind species. You read your book, you will return as a female so that you can find out that everything and everyone is equal. And that goes for all kinds of things. So that's why we tell all portions of ourselves on Earth, you need to appreciate and understand that everything is really the same. None of you are different. You have different coverings, but that's everything in the universe. But for many of you to think that you're different from your others when you have the same organs, the same kind of blood, It doesn't make any sense. And now we are fixing it through portions of us on earth like you and those listening. Because we're not physical. So we told you we don't interfere with freedom of choice. We only give you information of what you should do to raise your vibration so that you can do what you came to do in the manifestation that you're in. All of you.
Source, do you also oversee the evolution of other species on other planets?
Well, we don't oversee anything.
Or at least observe?
Well, we are you. We're them. So we are a part of everything. The whole is not greater than its sum parts. Without its sum parts, we are nothing. And without the whole, you are nothing, as you understand that term. Well, we did tell you you're everything and nothing all at once. So, to make a long story short, yes, we see everything, everywhere, every portion of us, and we do not speak to them in the same manner that we speak to you because they have different languages and stuff. Now, on Necton 5, why would we talk about that with your species? You wouldn't understand anyway.
What is that?
It's another planet, another species. And when we speak to them, it is... Now, did you understand that? No, none of you did.
A little bit.
Well, none of you are from Necton 5. Now, some of your spirits may have been there, and then you might catch it. You may have caught a little of it, but the full message, that's why we talked to our wonderful Erin about light language. We had to explain to her that light language is communication with the angelic on your planet. And humans don't understand it. So why do it? But because she was doing it, there's a whole lot of other of your species doing it, but no one understands it because this angelic language. So if you do it, you're talking to the angelic and not your species because they don't understand that sound and that vibration. None of you can because it's angelic language. So those of you that are blessed or have that gift, as you use that term, you're talking to the angelic. Now, depending on your vibration, are you talking to the high angelic, the middle, or the low? Keep that in mind. There was a wonderful woman on your planet that had given herself the gift of being an artist. Beautiful. However, all of it was dark, as you understand that term. But she began to raise her vibration and come to truthful information. So we were chatting with her, and we said, we would like for you to do spiritual art to sell at holistic centers. She says, okay. And she made a bunch of, well, to you, not to us, dark, twisted renderings with what she thinks a demon looked like and all that type of stuff. So, anyway, so she brought them to one of the centers. She was very happy. And we said, they're not going to sell that there. She said, well, it's from my spirit. Well, yes, it is, because everything is from one of your spirits. However, these people are trying to step into the light. So they do not need pictures of what you think demons look like in the dark and ghosts and stuff like that. Why would you sell that at a holistic center with people that are trying to elevate their consciousness? You understand that?
I do.
And once she shifted, but because she shifted and surrendered, we allowed her other art to be, well, not allowed, but her other art sold quickly so she didn't have to look at it and keep the remembrance of her lower self when she was not in the light. Because many of you consciously are not in the light. And all of you are light. So if you're not in it, then you're not your natural self. And we want all of our portions on your planet to be natural. And we explain the 32 layers in one of our books, the layers of the human energetic field that expands from your physical body and your aura. Then there's the 32 layers that go out everywhere. Portions of you that is connected to all the other species everywhere, because there are far more than you can ever dream of. And yes, many of them has visited your planet. And believe it or not, because we don't care, people from your planet have visited other places and spaces. You'll find all that out shortly also. But there
In
are
our
many
bodies,
things that are going to be physically.
physically, we've traveled to other planets.
Yeah. They don't want you to know that. But all of you know it sooner or later. What makes you think that's what the lower angelic has done to your planet? They have many of you thinking that you're the only species in the galaxy. Doesn't even make any sense. So, if your species, you think, can go to the moon, why can't others? And many of them are of different makeup, and their planets are advanced in certain areas. Many years ago, there was a lady that we were on an interview, and she asked about the reptilians and what they were going to do to Earth. And we informed her that is some fear nonsense. Now, there are planets that the species are what you would understand to be very close to reptilian, but they have not advanced far enough to come to your planet. That's for sure. So all that is just made up for fear. There's no reptilian beings going to take over you. And one of you cannot be possessed. It is impossible. You can be influenced by the lower vibrations. Therefore, you think you possess. And remember, so a woman or a man thinketh, so they become. But all that's attached to lies. And you cannot have attachments on you, because they cannot breach your physical body unless you lower your vibration and you affect your physical body, because you're not taking care of it, or you had a contract to take on cancer. We talked to a wonderful woman a while back, many years ago. She is amputee, lost her leg. And she was, poor me, poor me, poor me, life spiraling down, low self-esteem, low self. We talked to her, and we said, you know, you don't understand who you are. She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, you're a gift. You chose to be a gift and an example to everyone who meets you. The moment they meet you and see your physical body, they have to practice patience, tolerance, and then look at their life and say, well, she only has one leg and she's doing this. And then they begin to understand they have no excuses at all. It's all nonsense in their minds. So everything is a gift. We get to rambling, we will acquiesce back to you.
Source, I would love to call this transmission Volume 1, because I know we're going to continue our conversations.
We're going to have 10.
10, okay, or more.
Well, the number as it's set now is 10.
Okay.
It will not all be in this year, that's for sure.
Will any of them become books?
Well, it's funny that you talked about that. How much have you published in your life?
0.
Well, do you think that all of the individuals that you have, we took ourselves to for you to meet and collect this information is just to be listening to? So we will ask you right here, right now, in front of all of your followers or whatever you call them, we would like for you to write a book for humanity. You might want to write this down. We would like the title to be The Different Phases of Ascension.
Let's go.
Well, you're going to do it. Now, the thing is, you have to know that you are capable, because you are. And all you have to do is, guess what? Just like you did before this conversation, because it's not an interview. You talk to yourself in prayer, and you start writing. And it will flow, because it will be from us at the highest. But if you start writing and you don't express gratitude to yourself and everything before you write, it might be some useful information, but it would not be the highest information. So we would like for you to get started thinking about that, because we know that you're much better at time management than you used to be.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Source. It's been an honor, and I can't wait to see you again for Volume 2. Very soon.
You know what we can't wait for? After you do your wonderful editing and you add in the little stuff that comes from us. So the visual of your videos, it's from us. It's amazing.
And we have an amazing editor, so shout out to him.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, our time with you today has come to a conclusion. So our last message today is that everyone out there, you are just magnificent. And anyone who has told you anything else is a liar in that regard. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Welcome back.
That's been been a while.
Yeah. How do you feel, first of all?
Well, I come back pretty good. Now, in the beginning, it would be like hours. I'd be like moping around and all, not really conscious. But now it's seamless. When it first started, if you listen to the, we gave one of Aaron's, a wonderful woman that we work with. You met her before. Her name is Kaya. Sure, you may not remember.
Kaya Ra?
No, Kaya husband. She met you at a place a couple of years back. She gave you some information. It'll come to you.
Yeah.
At any rate, we are giving information to certain individuals to also assist you with some stuff in the future. That's what Source says. Some stuff to assist you in the future. Because you've met a lot of people, they say, and you have to also discern what was truth, what was a little truth, and what was all truth. Because there's a difference.
Yeah.
But
learning to develop the discernment has been a huge part of this journey.
Meditation will take you anywhere.
There it is. There it is. Wow. This has been a journey for me, and really expanded so much of the way that I'm seeing a lot of these things now, and the frequency that's coming through these messages, brother. I also wanted to be respectful of your time. We end every episode with a segment called The Final Trio, which are some personalized questions that I like to ask at the end of every show for each guest. Before that, where would you like to send people to connect with these beautiful teachings, your messages, source that is coming through you at this time? Where would you like to send people for that?
You can go to quantummatrixcenter.com. You can go to Aaron Lyons TV. You can go to Emilio
Ortiz,
and you will be receiving mostly untainted information. Because, unfortunately, because we're human, everything is tainted with some type of something.
Yeah.
But Quantum Matrix Center, we have a vibrant spiritual life coaching program because we're preparing people to help people. And also Aaron is opening up a source sanctuary in San Diego.
Yeah, I'm going to be there in a few weeks.
We have a wonderful center in New Jersey called Infinite Healing. It's in Middletown, New Jersey. And we have a center in Florida, in Hudson, Florida, Universal Gifts. We have two centers in Arizona. One is being worked on now for a retreat. And we are working on a center in London. So we have holistic centers all over the world that we're working on, and people, and the consciousness is growing, and that's it.
And can people work with you right now one-on-one if they would like a session either with Source or
yes, they go to the coaching website. However, we will tell you that it is quite a backlog, and I'm only one person.
Yeah.
But we have, yes, they can contact us and talk to Source themselves and make their own decisions.
Beautiful. We'll include everything down in the description, in the show notes, wherever you're listening this to, with the links directly to go to there. Elliott, the first question I had for you to really wrap this up is, what does it look like to live a normal human life while knowing what you know about Source?
It's really weird. Let me just elaborate just a bit. I married a couple because I'm a minister through the university. I married a couple in Tampa, Florida, right after Christmas, and talked to some people, and they were talking about their minister in church, right? And so I golf to relax. I love golfing. So I golfed. So I was on the tee and I missed a shot. And well, I didn't miss it. I muffed it. And I said, "Motherfucker." And one of the guys was a minister in one of the denominations. And he came up to me and he said, God wouldn't like that. You need to think about those words. And I said, well, I'm a minister too. And I know that God, if you use that term, is more concerned with the children that are being mistreated and people who don't have homes. So I really don't think they give a fuck what I just said. So that's basically where I'm at in life. That's just really weird, because I know a lot of people know me, but they know my personality. So my wife always says, you could tell when Source is in them, because when Source is not in me, I'm a different stud.
Yeah. It's like me outside the interview. I just play around, all day. Make jokes
life
all day.
is meant to be lived. You can't be all stuck up and crazy. That's another thing that spiritual people have to watch, to become too serious. Because the work that we do is really serious. So when you spread truthful information and you assist people, because that's what you came to do, you have to make time for yourself to have some fun and relax and release. Otherwise, you'll get too serious about yourself, and then you become ineffective anyway. You got to live life on earth. That's why we're in this manifestation, to experience something that the spirit cannot experience in the non-physical. Mm-hmm. Spirits don't drink or party or none of that stuff, man. That, that's us.
Got to enjoy it while we're here.
That's right. All right.
Are there themes that you see evolving in the next decade of your channeling work with Source?
Yes. Just helping more people come to understand, because this, like I said, we've been doing this a long time. We've been waiting for your generation and the ones after, because you're the ones that are going to really heal the planet. I'm 70 years old. It's you guys. But if you guys receive the same tainted information that we receive, then the planet's still in trouble. So we have to make sure that you guys get the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so that you can elevate yourself and take our planet to light and love for our others that are coming. Because Source says they're already here. Don't be mistaken. But they're coming, and we must not meet them with fear, because if we do, then that's going to cause an issue for us and for them, because Source says you have nothing to fear. Source says that fear was grafted onto our species, that we were not designed to have any fear, to be fearless.
Yeah. Elliott, for this last question I had for you today, I wanted to ask, what would you say to the listener who feels like they're behind on their spiritual journey?
You're not behind, you're just delayed. And all you have to do is begin to take care of your physical being first, because you're a spirit and a physical manifestation. So you need to make sure that you take the appropriate vitamins and supplements for your being. Make sure you have the appropriate nutritional intake. You need to exercise for your cardio. You need to read high-level spiritual information. You should probably watch the news. I know a lot of people don't like to watch the news. Watch the news once a day, because you need to know what's going on planet Earth, because that's where we live at. And Source put in the first book, it's probably not a good idea to do a lot of protesting, because lower vibrations, they live in that atmosphere. You see what's going on the planet now. When people get together, it's in the new book, when more than a certain number of people get together for something other than a concert or, something like that, it's going to be some low vibrational activity just to get people to hurt one another, hate one another, and all that other stuff. So you can use the social media to express. Hopefully you express some high vibrational stuff. And that's what we're trying to do. What we're doing, we are flooding the internet with more high vibrational information, positive stuff, because the negative stuff is there. It's all over. So we have to override it. So the more that come to higher levels of vibration, that get on social media and talk about the truth and light and love and hope and joy and how we can fix this, and then it'll get slowly better, because nothing happens on our planet except by one person at a time. That's the only way anything happens. Word of mouth. It's the greatest thing that there is.
You can do all the advertising in the world. But if your message is not reaching a lot of people, then are you really effective? The people, they're spiritual gifted and they're afraid to get on the internet. Oh no, don't get on the internet. It's too much negative stuff. Well, maybe if you got in it, you'll add some positivity.
Yeah.
But there are millions of people. No, and they say they're spiritual. Oh no, not the internet. I'm not getting on the internet. And we say, well, look, we need you to get on the internet and put some positive stuff in there.
Changing the frequency.
That's it.
Bit by
It's all
bit.
about frequency. Everything is sound and vibration. The harmonic, universe, the Schumann wave, all that. Everything is connected to the human body, to the human brain. And so we have to take care of this little vessel so that we can do what we came to do. No one just came here just to lounge around and just, be a leech and stuff like that. None of us were designed to do any of that.
Yeah, definitely. Elliott Eli Jackson, I just wanted to finish off by saying, I see you, brother. I honor you. It was an immediate soul recognition the moment we hopped onto this call. And I just wanted to thank you for the work that you're doing for humanity, and also for giving yourself so freely to us and share this truth with whoever is here listening to us. So I know this will be the first of many, as we talked with Source, possibly 10 volumes, as they said.
They said that?
Yeah, they said 10 volumes we're going to do.
Okay.
So planting the seed.
Well, I want to thank you for what you do, because it's your generation, baby. It's your generation. I'll be leaving here in maybe 25 years. That's what I plan, at least another 25. It's y'all. Y'all got to fix it. Because it's, peace
Let's
be
do
with
it
you.
together. Let's do it together. Much love, brother.
Let's do it. Okay.